those two blokes, Horace and Jasper. They're mean ones, they are.
How's that for calling them, eh? Hey, Jasper. Did you...
Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make Horace's big roast beef sandwich from 101 Dalmatians. The same sandwich that Rolly just can't get his paws off of. Not that I can blame him. Firstly, since he's always hungry, but secondly, and most importantly, it does look like an excellent sandwich. Let's jump right in and I'll show you how to make the sandwich yourself, starting with homemade buttermilk bread. To start, combine 2 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast or 1/4 ounce packet with 1/4 cup of warm water heated somewhere between 100 and 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Sometimes I add in a pinch of white sugar to speed things up. Mix these together and let sit for 5 to 10 minutes until bubbly. While the yeast is proofing, grab a medium saucepan and heat it to around medium-low heat. Add in 2 cups of buttermilk. If you are like me and never just have buttermilk in your fridge, but typically have regular milk, here's a quick way to make homemade buttermilk, or at least a good substitute. Combine 1 teaspoon of white vinegar with enough milk to make 1 full cup, and let sit for about 5 minutes. You could also use 1 tablespoon of lemon instead of vinegar. In my case, I used 2 teaspoons of white vinegar, then enough milk to make 2 full cups. Now back to it, add in 2 cups of buttermilk to the saucepan, followed by 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt, and 1 tablespoon of butter. Stir this frequently and heat this until everything is combined and reads around 110 degrees Fahrenheit. In a large separate bowl or stand mixer, combine 2 cups of all-purpose flour with both the buttermilk mixture and the yeast mixture. Mix this until combined and then add in up to 4 more cups of flour in increments until the dough all comes together as a soft dough and can be formed into a ball. In my case, I added around 3 1/2 cups of flour during the mixing phase, making the total flour of the dough to be 5 1/2 cups of all-purpose flour. Either use the stand mixer to then knead the dough until stiff, smooth, and elastic, or knead by hand. Probably 3-ish minutes of kneading if by stand mixer, or 8-ish minutes of kneading if by hand. This amount of time can vary greatly though, so take them with a grain of salt. Just knead until the dough is a bit stiff, but smooth and elastic. It should lose its stickiness. Once the kneading is complete, place the dough in a large bowl that has been lightly oiled with some neutral oil. Turn the dough to coat completely in the oil, then cover the bowl with a towel or plastic wrapper lid. Let this rest and rise for 1 hour, or until it is about doubled in size. After the dough is rested, punch it down gently to release any air bubbles and let the dough rest on the counter for about 10 minutes. I let it rest on a silicone mat, but if you don't have one of these, you can lightly flour the work surface beforehand. It just helps the dough from sticking. Shape the dough into a big loaf. Some pro loaf makers will flatten out the dough a bit and then pull the end in, fold in the sides, and then repeat over and over until a nice log is made. I usually just pull in the sides on either end and pinch them on the bottom a bit with my hands to make it into a log shape. This might not be the best way. Someday I'll probably try it with the head down, shoulders in method. Bottom line, just get the dough shaped into a nice log that will fit into a greased 9 by 5 inch loaf pan. Once the loaf is nestled into the pan, cover this with a towel and let it rise for about 30 minutes, again until doubled in size. Now this recipe makes a big loaf, like a real big loaf, so I would recommend you check where the rack in your oven is set. You might want this 1 notch or so down from the middle, because this bread will get pretty tall. At least it did for me. Once the dough has had its final resting time, bake the dough in an oven that's been preheated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 40 to 45 minutes. When it's done, the bread should sound hollow when tapped. It should get nice and golden brown on the outside. If you find it's getting too dark during the baking, just cover it with some foil for the last 15 minutes or so. Once this bread is all baked and ready, remove it from the pan and let it rest on a wire rack to cool completely. This loaf was real big, which of course helps for its large sandwich making ability. Now to make this large sandwich, cut some thicker slices of bread around 3/4 of an inch thick. This bread, by the way, ended up working really well for this sandwich. It had great texture and flavor. Hey Mason, do you like the bread?
Yeah.
Now this recipe was greatly inspired by the one listed in the Disney Cookbook, Cooking with Magic, A Century of Recipes. And in that book it listed a Horace radish sauce to use for the sandwich, which of course I did for this, firstly because I really liked the pun, and secondly because the sauce is super easy and super good. To make the Horace radish sauce, combine 1/3 cup of mayonnaise, 2 tablespoons of sour cream, 2 tablespoons of horseradish, and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I thought this sauce was so good I made it the rest of the week for myself in 1 sandwich helpings. If you want those quantities, they are right here on the screen. The only thing left to prepare for this sandwich before final assembly is to slice some tomato. Make these slices on the thicker side, and also season each of those tomato slices with some salt. The flavor improves so much, and also it helps them from watering down the sandwich or becoming too juicy. To assemble the sandwich, get your thick slices of bread and smother on generous dollops of the Horace radish sauce. Layer on some green leaf lettuce leaves, multiple slices of roast beef, a slice of white cheddar cheese, the thick sliced salted tomatoes, then crown your king of a sandwich with the other slice. Now that is a sandwich. A sandwich I would be very happy to eat while watching some interesting game show about guessing what a crime a criminal committed. Did anyone else ever think that show was just so strange? Is it just me? Well, there are a lot of interesting game shows out there, aren't there? Anyways, I found this sandwich really enjoyable. The bread and the sauce really made this. The only thing I was missing from the experience was a cute puppy stealing the meat, but I'll gladly skip out on that part. Again, this recipe was greatly inspired by the one listed in the Disney Cookbook Cooking with Magic: A Century of Recipes, so one can hope that it's movie accurate. I'll be trying out several more recipes from this book over the next year or so if you're interested, be sure to subscribe and follow along. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please consider leaving a like to this video. Also subscribe if you like Disney food. I make quite a bit of it on this channel. Thanks again. See you next time.